Okay, hello, welcome to Head Marketing. We're here for the latest podcast and we've come up to Chester to speak to one of our clients, Bikmo. And we're speaking with Rob Grisdale, who is Head of Partnerships at Bikmo.
That's right, yeah.
So Rob, first of all, let's just have a quick intro really. What is Bikmo?
Bikmo is a cycle insurance specialist. So in short, we use exceptional financial products to basically help people ride more, really. Get them back on a bike when stuff goes wrong, and that's our kind of number one focus, is on riders really across all the territories that we work in, keeping people riding and helping them ride more as well, which we like to do ourselves as well.
Yeah. So you essentially provide insurance services to cyclists. So if they have an accident, now is that just sort of general riding, or is it racing? Is it how does it work? Is it commuting? What sort of?
Yeah. So it used to, when we first launched, it was very much focused on the enthusiast. So we actually had a minimum value that you could insure of £1,000. So it was kind of start with the racers and then kind of work down in terms of pricing. So now though, we've actually seen that over the last couple of years, our average premium has come down. So we're starting to see that the everyday sort of commuters and leisure riders are insuring their bikes now as well, which is really good, because racers represent a really small portion of the cycling market, and it's really nice that we're starting to kind of move into that big band of riders that just maybe ride to work or ride at the weekend with their mates, much more kind of quite casual riding. But yeah, we're to get sort of a bit more insurance geekery about it. We're called an intermediary, so we sort of sit between the underwriter who kind of manages that flow of money coming in and out and paying out in claims, and the customer experience. So we manage all of most of the claims process, and that kind of customer interface is all Bikmo, and that's where we excel really, because we're a bunch of riders ourselves, so we've got that connection with the customer and that empathy, I suppose, that we know what it's like when things go wrong, and you're without your bike, and that's a big asset for us. Yeah,
I was just going to say, you can empathise and understand with the customer if they're without the bike and they can't ride or race, commute, etc. Have you noticed a change in the type of bikes that are being insured? Is it sort of more races, roads, Bromptons, cross? What sort of bikes are there?
It's quite a unique setup in the UK because of and largely because of the cycle to work market. You find that it's hard to tell what kind of riding people do from their bike now, I think, because you stand in London and you see like £2,000 bikes going past you all the time, but most of them are ridden to work and back, and not much further. But yeah, we're definitely seeing more. The biggest growing trend is e-bikes, so we're seeing a lot more e-bikes on cover now. The Brompton folding bikes, massive growth area as well, as people are kind of using bikes to along with other modes of transport, with trains to get to work, and but we're still very road heavy. I think about 75% of our customers are road riders. But I'd say, probably e-bikes is probably the biggest growth area at the moment, I'd say.
I noticed. I know we look after your digital marketing at Head, and I noticed with the e-bikes, it's an area that is certainly developing quite well as well.
Have you seen that in the data as well, then, in terms of like
the data sort of represents that, in terms of the conversion rates in terms of how well those ads perform now. E-bikes is certainly growing, certainly in the UK campaign, but e-bikes is it's popular. I think the good thing, I've ridden an e-bike, I've test rode one, and I suppose the good thing is that it makes cycling a bit more accessible for perhaps people that aren't as fit. I take it for granted. I've ridden since I was a kid, and you can just jump on a bike and go anywhere. But I think for a lot of people who are perhaps getting into it, or they don't want to ride on the road and they perhaps want to go along a bike path that might not be well made. I
think, can you remember like when they first came to be, really? I think the general attitude was, I don't need one, that's cheating kind of thing, wasn't it? That was my thought. If you already rode, that was your response.
Yeah.
But I think now when you go to the trade shows, they're flooded with e-bikes from every brand, and the tone's changed a bit now. People are seeing it as more of a sort of shift, really. So those people that were already riding a lot, they can ride further. So if you live 20 miles away from work, to get an e-bike and commute 40 miles a day is like no sweat, literally no sweat. Equally at the other end, people that are new to cycling or maybe find it difficult because they've got some injury or something, they can suddenly ride. So it's kind of pushing out both ends, I think, really. And the interesting thing is that it's often not people that already ride choosing to then get an e-bike. It's people that are driving and they're deciding that they want to get out of their cars, and they're skipping man-powered bike, non-e-bikes, and they're going straight for the e-bike. So it's bridging that car use to two wheels really nicely, I think.
That's any sort of way of promoting cycling is a positive, whether that's an e-bike or a full, not human-powered bike, so to speak. I
was trying to think of the correct term for
me too. I wasn't sure.
Lake-powered bike.
But they are great. I know I was up at Llandegla a couple of weeks ago mountain biking with friends, and we were going through some single track, and it's steep and it's hard, and I'm getting a sweat on and I'm trying, and this guy comes past me on this e-bike, and they've got better, I think is the best way of putting it. They looked rather a little maybe motorish or motorbike-ish, but they have got, the packs have got smaller, and they look a bit neater now, and it's great that you can sort of turn them on and off. So it's
you find them all over the place now. I was up at the top of Cadair Idris in Wales, and right on the peak, and there's a guy on an e-bike on a wintry day. There's ice everywhere, and like you'd never be able to get up there without an e-bike. It's just, I think it's just pushing the extremes really at both sides.
I know we just touched on a bit about the e-bikes and sort of insurance and different things, but are there any new products in the pipeline for Bikmo? Any new territories, anything like that you're heading into or towards?
I mean, it's been a big couple of years really for growth at Bikmo. We're still a small company really, but we're a small growing company. So I think we're about 25 people here. We've still got the headquarters in Chester. We've also got an office in Innsbruck now as well. So we've got the German and Austrian territory set up, and that was a big project. And we're also covering Ireland. So we've got 4 territories now, and we launched travel insurance at the beginning of this year. So lots of riders do travel as well with their bikes. So having a product to kind of fit with the bike insurance, and not just cyclists, but also skiers and other sort of sports that you might do when you.
So is that sort of like adventure sport, sort of specific? So skiers, cyclists.
It helps you. It helps you understand better what sports you can and can't do with your travel insurance. I know from experience, quite a lot of times I'm trying to get travel insurance, and if you're doing a particular activity out there, it's really quite difficult to work out whether it's covered or not. It might not even be your activity might not even be in the list. So it's travel insurance for cyclists really. And I think now we're in a bit of consolidation mode, and the team's growing, and I think new territories are probably in the pipeline, but at the moment it's difficult to know where or when that might be. Watch this space and see.
How have you found the sort of travel insurance side of things? Because I know within the industry as a whole, cycling's doing particularly well. I know bike sales are on the up, but I know certain companies, I know Rafa for example, have stopped their trips now, their holiday trips. That they no longer do that. I think they've consolidated and chosen to focus more on just the kits and apparel they do. So how have you found the trend with sort of people taking insurance and taking the bikes abroad? Because I know as a cyclist, I know when I used to race many years ago, I just took it for granted because you were there and it was sort of sorted out for you. But when if I went now on holiday, if I go to, say, my parents abroad, or I go to Spain or Mallorca for a training camp, you're taking a lot of money's worth of kit with you. If you crash, if you come off, that sort of thing, which does happen. And I know I fell off on a training camp on more than one occasion, and it's the nature of the beast. So it is what it is. But how have you found that? How have you found sort of the take up of policies that cover you for being away? So to speak?
It's been pretty good. So it's not a core product of ours. It's to support. We've got the cycle insurance. What else the riders need? What else can we do to help people for all of their kind of adventures or whatever? So it's been very it's been a real success. The big thing actually was British Cycling used our travel insurance product as well to plug into the member support. So suddenly we had 160,000 very keen cyclists. Many of them travel as well. So that was a massive boost to the travel insurance product. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a split. I'd say it's probably 50-50. Lots of people still like to just hire a bike when they're over there. It's pretty convenient. It's a bit of a nightmare taking your bike on the plane. Especially with Ryanair and EasyJet, they charge you a fortune to do it.
And you get broken bikes.
So I can definitely see the benefit of just hiring a bike when you're over there. But equally, if you've worked really hard to get the bike you want, the setup's all right, you've got your saddle height, everything's like perfect on it. A lot of people don't want the faff of getting over there and probably not being quite perfect. The bike, it's a bit like hiring ski boots or snowboard boots out there. They're never as good as your own, are they?
No.
It's always a bit of a compromise. But yeah, it's just it's a really nice sort of add-on really for anyone that's travelling quite a bit as well. So it's been pretty good uptake on it really.
I know you touched on briefly then the British cycling, and it was something I wanted to sort of ask you about really and talk about. What I know it was earlier in the year you got some, I'll say affiliation, correct me if I'm wrong, what was the
it's been an awesome step up for us really in terms of reaching a massive audience of cyclists, and it's something we've been from day one really. It was a partner we wanted to get on board, and it's taken probably 3 or 4 years to get to the point to launch the partnership. Effectively, it's an optional product. So, are you a BC member?
Yes, I think I am actually. Yeah. I organised a race last year, so I'm not a racing member, but I'm a licensed member. So. Got
you. Yeah. So. People that race will almost definitely have a membership because it gets you a race license, and then there's the option to insure your bike as well, and basically Bikmo is the option there. So it gets sort of fed into all the communications and the welcome packs. But for us, really, it's just a really nice. It effectively makes Bikmo the selected insurance provider for cycling in the UK. It's that kind of level of acknowledgement really, and it's taken quite a few years to get it. So it's been an awesome year.
It's hard. It's a hard organisation to get your foot in the door with, BC or British Cycling. It's a big organisation, isn't it, with a wide-reaching customer base, if you like.
And interestingly, they've got a big focus on the sort of the almost like the commuter side now as well. They've got the new sponsor in HSBC. They've got a particular interest in supporting them to sort of cultivate a good riding environment for everyone, not just like your elite athletes. And you obviously think of the race team really with British Cycling, but their remit also covers getting more people on a bike from an early age as well, and just riding a few miles. And
they do an awful lot, especially with women's cycling as well. I know with the Go Rides, or I think the Go Rides is for the kids, isn't it? Because I know my youngest goes to and does some events with affiliated clubs, but I know the women as well, getting women into cycling through, I think it's called HSBC Breeze. I think it's
the Breeze Rides,
and I know that's a sort of perhaps another a touch point for you guys in terms of insurance and different things, because it's sort of an extra arm, if you like, in terms of targeting, certainly from a marketing perspective, who you might consider to look at.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's I think it's with partnerships like that, it's really it's about being patient. I think we've been talking to them for 3 or 4 years, and I suppose back then we were like the new kids on the block. And there's probably a bit of nervousness from an organisation like BC, who have they're the governing body for cycling. So I think it took us a few years, I think, to sort of build our reputation, credibility. Like, we're here to stay. We know what we're doing, and then we reached a point where it was the right time for them as well. So that's a big part of why this year's been a really big year as well. So it's a huge. Do
you have any sort of very specific products that British Cycling members get? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, is it a bronze, silver and a gold package that they do for members?
Exactly, yeah. They've got a few levels. So some of them have, so you get your personal cover, so your public liability insurance and your personal accidents already covered. So this is something that we do. We have to kind of sit down and work out how we can build the product to fit each partnership. So the British cycling products available is actually different to what you see on Bikmo.com, just so it fits in nicely with the product offering that they've already got, and doesn't sort of diminish the value of their memberships by offering the like duplicate cover.
Yeah, so you don't want to overlap if
exactly. Yeah.
So alongside British Cycling, am I right in thinking you have another big partnership with a retailer in the UK? Probably the other big partnership from this year is Deliveroo. So we insure all the delivery riders in the country, which has been a big. It's a big difference to, or it's very different to what we've been doing in the past. It's more of it's actually not about the bikes for delivery riders. I think that's really important for them is that if they can't work, that they've still got some income coming in. So so that insurance actually covers their like it's an accident insurance. So if they're injured and they can't work, they get 75% of their revenue that they usually make in paying out. So it allows them to kind of concentrate on getting better and getting back on the bike and working again. So they've got about 20,000 riders now in the UK. So that must be good especially for the couriers and delivery guys that work, say, in London, where there's a higher chance of being knocked off, stroke injured. So that's probably really
it's very city focused, and interestingly, it's like the inverse of so Bikmo is quite a seasonal product. We're busiest in the summer, essentially, because more people are riding more, whereas in winter more people are at home having takeaways, and delivery is very popular because people are ordering more food. So there's a lot of activity in the winter months from delivery. So it's kind of like the inverse of our seasonality.
So it levels your sort of business out across the whole year. You get instead of getting a big spike in the middle, you perhaps get a more level sort of graph, if you like, so to speak.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, half of their riders are cyclists, but we're also covering the motorcyclists and the car drivers as well. So it's been an interesting sort of an interesting move, really, from the pure cycle insurance to offering like commercial products on a big scale as well with big clients. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable. It's
from a business perspective, and certainly in your position as sort of head of partnerships, it's got to represent a growth in business and a significant, I won't say diversification, but certainly growth overall, which can only be a good thing.
I think we've got a really scalable product. We're not a technology company, I wouldn't say, but we do use technology to make our experience good. to make sure that the products that we set up are fully scalable to whoever we're working with. So yeah, I think it's good for future partnerships as well, because it's our reputation within our sector now is really good from having such big household brands that are working with us and that trust us.
One thing I wanted to touch on, I know we've had some sort of correspondence to organise this. You touched on being a B Corp certified company now. Forgive my ignorance. What is that, and what does that mean, so to speak, for listeners?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's not necessarily a name that everyone's heard of yet, but it's actually started in the US, and it's I suppose a band of, I think it's about 3,000 companies now that are actively trying to balance that profit v purpose. The making sure that they do things that contribute to the people that work there and our planet as well. So
is it a sort of form of corporate social responsibility, CSR, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it covers all areas really. So it's down to down to the staff, the stuff you'd expect, like how we travel, whether we printing only when we need to, and it means that we've now got a kind of framework and a plan to move forward with, to make Bikmo like a responsible business really, and thinking about us as people and our planet and our impact on it, and making sure that we're not causing damage to either really. So it's going to be although we've got the accreditation, actually it's just over here.
Oh yeah,
I got it.
That's it.
So it's that's our medal. It's made out of I think it's a recycled scaffold board. I think that's a fire hose, recycled fire hose. But it's going to be part of a long-term campaign, or a long-term project to kind of look in detail at what we do as a company and how we can improve it. So yeah, we've got a team internally that get together every week, and they've been working on all of our policies and the plan moving forward. So it's a really kind of exciting achievement for us, and
it's certainly very sort of forward thinking in terms of the concept and the idea. I know a lot of forward thinking and dynamic companies are considering the impact and having a strong sort of CSR policy towards social change as well, rather than just constant profits. I think it's an important aspect to cover, and it's certainly something I know prior to us talking, I didn't know sort of about this, and it's certainly I'll have a chat with Anna about it and see if there's any way we can incorporate it within the marketing, because it's
you kind of assume it's more applicable to companies that produce stuff. So the likes of Patagonia and some other clothing brands are on there. Patagonia are very well known for their approach to looking after the planet, because they're an outdoor brand and they want to protect the environment to go and do your sports and like ride bikes and run and whatever you want to do in it. And for insurance, it's we've got the benefit of already being kind of very low impact, I suppose, because we've not got factories producing stuff and pollutants and things. But there's always things that we can do.
Definitely small changes.
And there's a lot of companies like Bikmo in terms of like size and that probably assume that they can't really have much influence on the planet. But I think if we all do our bit, so yeah, it's just really good for also personally. I think it's got everyone thinking about what they do in their own lives and the impact that they've got and how they can improve things. So it's having a bit of a halo effect, I think, across the company.
Definitely, I think big changes come with many small steps, and I think it's personally I think it's a great thing to do, and it's good that you've got the leadership and the forward thinking to go down such a positive route really. I think being cyclists as well, being sort of green in our travel, so to speak, it's certainly something that very much aligns with Bikmo and the wider company, so to speak. So yeah.
Exactly. And then for me in my role, it's even down to who we work with, and if we're putting all this effort into minimising our impact, we want to make sure that we don't go and destroy all that by working with a brand or a company that's causing a load of damage to, say, the environment, or doesn't treat its staff very well. So it's down to our suppliers and our partners, and making sure that we've got full sight of what's going on, and on a broader level as well, not just Bikmo. I
think it's really important that you who you work with has a sort of similar mindset. I think I've often thought that. I know when I started here, it wasn't just a case of working with anyone. You want to work with partners that have the similar values and core values in terms of the beliefs and the long-term goals. So it's, I noticed that actually brings me on quite nicely onto our next point, really. And I know you guys focus on, or you try where possible to work with local retailers. And I think for listeners, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what that means is if you have an accident in, say, Chester, for example, I'll use Chester because we're here now, you try and work where possible with a Chester-based bike shop to help. Did you want to expand on that a bit for us?
It's something we've been really focused on from the start. The typical or the usual way of doing it, of serving replacements, is to basically get a voucher for a big online company, and you've probably got a selection of, or a limited selection of brands to choose from, and you get your box on your doorstep, and it's like 80% assembled, so you've got to build it. And it's not actually a very nice experience for the customer, but also you've got your local bike shop down the road who, I don't know, you might have noticed a lot of bike shops are closing these days. And
there's been a few in Chester this year.
It's a really tough industry, so I think we're still a big fan of that kind of personal touch, so going into your local bike shop, getting some advice and experience from someone that's been riding a long time, and it's a community thing as well. Like your local bike shop's often a bit of a hub, really, for cyclists in the area. So we made a conscious decision early on that we would put as much of our replacements back through local bike shops, and so we've got a really good network of sort of pushing 200 retailers now across the country who we work with to basically buy bikes from for our customers, and it works really well. They obviously get the business from it, so they become advocates of Bikmo as well. They're telling their customers about us because they know that.
Does that work in the reverse way, in terms, do they recommend your insurance to, if they sell a new bike in their shop? Do they then sort of promote you? Does it work in reverse?
Exactly, yeah. So they can promote Bikmo as well. And we've got some products as well that they can use, so they can give away free insurance on their bikes, so that a customer can leave on the new bike and have it covered for 14 days, which works really nicely. So yeah, it feels nice. It feels like the right thing to do. It's not necessarily the easiest solution, and commercially we could probably go and get bikes cheaper from a big supplier, but I think it's the right decision for us. I think
that touches what we were saying earlier, though. Sometimes it's not always about the profit, it's about doing the right thing longer term, and then longer term it will level out, so to speak. So.
Exactly, for that one. And yeah, I think we've started to look ahead to next year, and really for us it's going to be about just improving, really. If we're constantly taking customer feedback and working with Hiscox, our underwriters, to get the product right, and we're making tweaks, a bit like a bike. We're kind of fettling the brakes all the time, and improving on things. B Corp, that's something that we're going to be rolling out to the whole team in the next few weeks, and that'll be kind of getting people to actually apply the plan to what they're doing on a daily basis. So trying to not use a car as much, and we don't really print much anyway, but printing when it's really, really, really needed. But also all that kind of policies and making sure that people are riding more as well. I don't know whether you might be the same, but you sometimes let work and life take over and we forget to ride, and that's something that we're really keen to promote is the team getting out more on their bikes. And we've got, so every month you get one ride day as a Bikmo employee, so you can go out and ride your bike and enjoy yourself. It's really good, but we're not using it enough, and I think it's just because we've been so busy. So I think as part of B Corp, it's going to be about making sure that we're kind of practicing what we preach and enjoying ourselves out there more. So yeah, it's a mixture of growth. The team's going to be growing as well, so it's nice to have new faces joining Bikmo, bringing new skills and experiences to support what we're doing, and some big partnership launches which will just kind of keep everything sort of snowballing and that momentum up going into 2020.
Oh, great! It's been good. I know we've worked with you for about 6 months now, and it's been good to sort of get a real insight into it. And obviously, I know a bit about cycling from my background anyway, but it's been good. It's been good to see how well organised you guys are, and you can see why you've done well.
Thanks for
working with, I know I speak with Anna sort of weekly, who's your marketing manager, but it's been, I've learned as well, which is good. So
no, it's been a good partnership so far, and I think it's just I think the stage we're at, we're going through that transition from a small company where you can get away with being a bit a sort of more entrepreneurial approach with how you organise your team and the company. But I think we're sort of making that transition now, and we're growing up and maturing as a company, I think. And I mean, that's great because it means that we're kind of helping a lot more riders and we're having much more of an impact. But it also means that we as a team we kind of need to work together more and communicate and make sure we're all working as one. So
I know sometimes with growth, when it's rapid, it can be quite hard. You can have growing pains, but I think from what you've said and certainly what I've seen and witnessed, you seem to have absorbed that quite well. You've done the right thing rather than taken the shorter route. You've gone for the slow and steady, which is the best growth really, and it's
sustainable, I think, isn't it?
That's the word. I think that's what I was looking for.
I think especially within insurance, like if you look at some insurance companies that have grown very, very rapidly, it's been all focused on getting as many people on cover as possible. But I think and probably a load of them falling out the bottom as well, because they're not focused on the customer anymore. They're focused on just growth, purely growth. Whereas, I think we probably have taken a more slow, steady approach to how we've grown up as a company. And but I think it kind of sticks better, and it's more sustainable growth. More of the same, hopefully.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's probably a good point to sort of wrap up on now. I'll just say a couple of things before we finish, but make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Spotify and Apple. You can subscribe to the podcast. Also, don't forget, if you're into bikes and you ride your bikes, go on to Bikmo, get a quote, check it out, and thanks for listening, and thanks very much for your time,
Cheers,
Rob.
Mark. Yeah, good to talk. Thank you.